with the Arkansas Times on Friday, May the 12th. A lot of the news today will be catching up on some things that occurred after our taping yesterday. The hostage situation in Yell County that followed a triple homicide was resolved without further death when the suspect in 3 killings gave himself up without incident and also released a hostage, apparently his girlfriend, who'd been with him in the 5-hour standoff. Kevin Mainhart, a lieutenant in the Yell County Sheriff's Office, was killed on a traffic stop. They later found 2 other people dead at a house nearby. They apparently were a 61-year-old woman and her teenage daughter. Some relationship to either James Bowden, the suspect in the case, or perhaps the woman with whom he was with. Some of the circumstances of this case remain unclear. Mainhart's body was taken from Little Rock, where there was an autopsy, back home for funeral today. People lined the streets in a number of cities in Pope and Yell County as a procession of police cars and the hearse went by. Interesting story this morning you'll find on the Arkansas blog. Late yesterday at the State Board of Education, a number of people from Little Rock School District stood up to ask for the State Board to consider returning local control of Little Rock School District, which was taken over by the state 2 years ago. They say progress had been made and they asked for consideration for that. At the end of their remarks, a state school board member from El Dorado, Brett Williamson, said he was sick of hearing about the Little Rock School District. He didn't want to hear any more about it. He didn't see that there was any evidence of any improvement there, and he was very angry about it. This has prompted a call for apologies from people in Little Rock who were offended by the things he said. He certainly has an easy way not to hear about Little Rock anymore. He can either give local control back to the district, or he can resign from the school board. Frankly, somebody who sits on the State Board of Education and becomes so exasperated at hearing the public speak about their schools that he can't take it anymore, perhaps should resign from the school board. He's refused to comment on what he said yesterday, and he offered no apologies given the chance at a second day of meetings today. The city of Fayetteville has been given more time through September to develop a defense in support of its argument that the state law preventing Fayetteville from having a civil rights ordinance that protects gay people is unconstitutional. It wants to develop more evidence that the state had particular animus against gay people in passing a state law that prevents local ordinances like Fayetteville pass. There's ample evidence on the record of animus toward gay people from people like Senator Bart Hester and Bob Ballinger, the state representative. Fayetteville might like to depose these people and let them clear up some of their statements about the fact that they really weren't going after gay people with this. We know they were. This court case actually could go very high up at the appellate level and might even force a good precedent on just what constitutes unconstitutional discrimination against gay people. It certainly was intended in Arkansas. The state has money troubles. The counties need new voting machines. The governor, Asa Hutchinson, has told Mark Martin he can only come up with $5 million, and he can't come up with that right now to buy the new machines the counties need. Mark Martin, who's been not managing this great new need very well as Secretary of State the last couple of years, said he can pitch in $1 million. That's $6 million if it all turns up. They say the counties are going to have to pay half the bill. That match that much plus the sales tax. It could be hard for a lot of those small counties to do. They don't have a lot of money. One thing that happened late yesterday after we taped was a resolution of a case before the State Ethics Commission. A North Little Rock policeman has settled an ethics complaint against him by blogger Russ Raycop over taking gifts from Dallas Cowboy owner Jerry Jones in the form of tickets, trips, and other freebies to see a Dallas Cowboy game in Dallas. Jones said he just wanted to honor the police for the good work they do. Well, there's a state law that says you can't give things to public servants for simply doing their jobs. The city council tried to put a gloss on this by declaring these government benefits. Of course, they weren't. The police officer agreed that there was a law violation, but the Ethics Commission said you had good cause to do it because the city council took action. You thought it was okay, so there'll be no punishment. The only punishment for a violation, by the way, is a letter of warning on a first offense. Jerry Jones apparently has refused a similar settlement offer from the Ethics Commission. He's going to have a hearing on his case May the 19th. I think it's a good precedent from the Ethics Commission. There are a lot of ways to get around this rule about giving gifts to people for doing their job, and giving gifts to some and not to others does tend to create an appearance of unfairness that's probably best avoided, particularly by people who enforce the law, much as we might like the police and appreciate the work they do. Also yesterday, a Capitol Commission approved the location of a Ten Commandments monument on the state Capitol grounds, southwest of the Capitol, between the Capitol and the Supreme Court building, a funny place to establish religion on the Capitol grounds. This thing may go up by June and probably will go up before the lawsuit can be decided over whether this is an unconstitutional establishment of religion on the Capitol grounds. Precedent says that it is. The ACLU promises to sue. The city of Little Rock is still trying to root homeless people out of the parks. the Broadway Bridge construction suspended for the time being a weekly feeding of homeless people under the Broadway Bridge, and it still hadn't resumed. Well, they want to make sure it doesn't happen again. There's an ordinance that's been proposed to prevent free feeding of large groups of people for free. Now, you can have a paid event for thousands of people if you want in city parks, but feed the homeless for free, no good. The city ordinance says that, gee, it's just not appropriate to feed poor people around the Riverfront Sculpture Park and in other parks. It just takes away from people's enjoyment. The city's gotten awfully mean on homeless people, evicting them from homeless camps and stopping them from panhandling. They haven't done so well against gangs and crime activity. The homeless are a little bit easier to pick on, I guess. Another incredible day for Donald Trump. He woke up this morning and hit his Twitter keys fast and furious. He said, among other things, that of course his staff can't expect it to be accurate in representing what he's said and done. Who could possibly be, given the things that come out of his mouth? And also, he seemed to suggest he might have a tape of a meeting he had with James Comey that he seems to indicate would prove James Comey hasn't been telling the truth and telling friends that Donald Trump's version of events about their relationship is utter fiction. Well, as I say, it's reality TV at its best. Somebody wrote, perhaps jokingly, that Trump figures if there is an impeachment, his will have the highest ratings ever. He's always the best of everything, isn't he? Well, I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back next week. Resist.